Hello, everyone, and welcome to Destination University. We are running a special series the entire month of April called 30 Teens, 30 Dreams, and Destination University. And so far, we've had different institutions represented every single day this month. So I hope we're going for a whole streak of 30 different destinations. The entire month of April is really all about high school seniors across the country and where they're choosing to say that, yes, this is where they're going to call home and land as a freshman class of 2025. Today, if you are a college-bound teen or a champion of one, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Today, we're going to meet Bonnie. Bonnie hails from Southern California. She attends a public high school, and what her coolness factor is she, as I say, she's a triple threat. She's got everything, and she is a rock star. And she applied to college and had to audition in this pandemic. So I can't wait for her to share with you her journey, her experience, and she's so excited about where she's going. We're gonna start with where she's going. So Bonnie has also earned over nearly $400,000. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and help me welcome Bonnie. So let's do a sound check. Bonnie, are you there and ready to rock and roll?
Hi, yeah, let's do this.
All right, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by asking you sort of a little bit of one of the last questions, but what are the three schools you narrowed down to? We'll sort of go backwards and then forward because as everyone can already see right now, you have made a choice. So tell us the top three and then tell us why you chose the school you're wearing.
So I really narrowed it down to my top two, and my top two, can I say what it was? Okay, so my top two were Hofstra University and Rutgers University. So I narrowed it down to these two based on the location because I want to go to the East Coast and I want to be super close to New York because I'm majoring in dance, and that's where a lot of this is that's where the dance happens. So I really wanted to be close to all the action. And then also just based on their programs and what they were able to offer. So if you can't tell, I did commit to Rutgers University and the Mason Gross School of the Arts to get my BFA in dance.
Oh my gosh, that's super exciting. So tell us, you should tell everyone who you have with you right there by your side.
Okay, so this is my mom.
Hi, Mom. Mom has been there as your support and cheerleader through this entire journey, and even before that. So welcome, Mom. Okay, so we started at the end of the journey and where she is attending. You caught that. Rutgers is in New Jersey, and she's going to their school of dance, their school of performing arts. And what is the nickname that we were saying that you have?
So I guess they're called the Grossies because it's the Mason Gross School of the Arts, which I think is funny.
It's funny. Maybe it's a little unfortunate. Either way, it's pretty cute. What can you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have the 5 questions I have for everybody. And the first question is just share with our viewers and listeners, sort of give us a sense of the kinds of, a sampling of where you applied, because I know you applied to a number of schools, and a little bit about the scholarship dollars that you earned.
So I applied to 11 colleges and I got accepted to 8 of those 11, which is really cool. The majority of them were on the East Coast. I did apply to Cal State Fullerton just as my hey, I live here, I should apply. So I was really looking at the East Coast though, and I applied to a couple schools in Rhode Island, a couple in Connecticut, one in Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York. So I was really looking at the upper East Coast.
Right. Like you said, where all the action is happening. And did you have to apply separately for some of the scholarships that you earned, or was that just as part of the application? Share a little bit about that.
So the scholarships that I got, they were all based on my application and on my grades. So that all was connected. I didn't have to do anything separate for that.
Okay, awesome. Now, the second question I have been typically asking is about looking back on your college admission journey, what did you do right? What would you sort of pass on as good advice to others who are coming up the ranks? And then the second question, actually the third question, we'll go into your coolness factor and we can talk about the audition process.
Yeah. So this is going to sound like I'm just saying it, but genuinely the thing I did right was working with Dr. C and was being a part of this. And if you ask any of like all of my underclassmen friends, I'm like, look, I worked with her and this was very helpful. Aside from working with Dr. C, it was having all of my spreadsheets because I like my spreadsheets and keeping everything in order. It was really helpful to reference that. And as I was like limiting down my list, it was, oh, okay, this is where this school got eliminated. This is why. Okay, I can move on. And then also this tip that Dr. C gave was like my favorite thing. And I tell everyone this: when you're applying for college, set up a separate email address. It is so helpful.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it sank in. Like I say this like so many times and I'm always like, I wonder if people do that. So yes, get a separate email address. Okay. Now, I have to tell you guys, when I saw this spreadsheet, she gave me a run for my money. She had everything organized, timeline, deadlines, financial aid, like everything she needed to know was all in one document, on one spreadsheet. So that was pretty cool. And I want to give a shout out to your mom, Francie, who enrolled you in what's now known as Dream College Academy, but was this pilot program we were running in the midst of the pandemic, last spring break, anyone. And Bonnie was literally my only student enrolled in that particular week. As the month went on, we got up to like 45 students that we worked with, but it was like literally me and Bonnie, we were test piloting the Dream College Academy. So I'm glad you got something out of it. And thanks for being one of the beta testers, as we say. Okay, so let's talk about your coolness factor. I've already said you're you're triple threat. You do it all. So walk us through, what does it mean to audition, and how does someone else who's a little bit younger and thinking that they want to audition, give some tips on what you did and how you went about it.
So the audition process is pretty much like a whole second round of applications. They have different requirements and different things that they want from you. And like it's pretty much a second application, and some schools even like decide it like that. So I had 2 schools that accepted academically, but they didn't accept artistically. So they look at it as 2 like separate applications for the same person. With that, because of the pandemic and because we were online, all of my auditions were virtual. So I talked to my dance teacher, who is also the owner of the studio I go to. And I was like, hey, could I come into the studio over winter break and just have a day? And she said, yeah. And so I went into the studio and I recorded for a couple hours,
You did it over a couple of days, and a couple of days were longer than a couple of hours.
Yeah. It was just me in a room by myself recording some dances and learning all of the moves and everything that they wanted and just trying my best. But yeah.
Now, share with me, hang on.
Doggo.
Were there certain requirements? Like, did you have to choreograph original piece? Like, why? And maybe mom can chime in. Like, why were you recording so long? Like, that sounds grueling, by the way. So, bravo to you.
So some schools would give, like NYU and Rutgers, they gave specific classes. And so you took the class and you just followed along and you recorded yourself doing it. And NYU wanted to see how you learned. So they didn't want it to be perfect. They wanted you to go in and learn it. Other colleges were like, we want to see just how good you can do. So I'm in there practicing and practicing and practicing. Most colleges, if not all, required a ballet audition and they required a modern audition. Rutgers was special and they wanted me to do hip hop. And I was like, okay, this will be fun. And it actually was, because I was like, look, hip hop is not my main. I'm just gonna have fun with it and go for it. And hopefully they see that. But then most schools required a solo piece as well. So I was working with my dance teachers on getting that solo piece filmed. And it was, I think, 1.5 to 2 minutes. So each of those.
That's just amazing. So if you didn't pick up on it, she said it's like a whole nother separate application into itself. And so if you're watching and you're thinking, I want to do that, it's never too early to start, getting all your ducks in a row, because there's just so much to do in the fall of senior year. And I can't imagine having to do all the pieces that we had already worked on before, leading up to sort of August, September of your senior year, and then also having to go through this, and of course in the middle of the pandemic as well. So that was pretty amazing. Mom, did you want to say any few words about that process and watching her go through that?
I think the other part that made it challenging in the pandemic was she had to do it alone in an empty studio, whereas normally these would have been auditions. We would have been flying to the school. She would have been doing the auditions with other people. But this, she had to motivate herself and to keep herself going in spite of a complete lack of any feedback from anyone. She was just in a room alone. So I think that was an additional challenge during the pandemic.
For sure, for sure. I mean, it was hard for anyone to stay motivated, much less have to go through all of these things that you had to do and come up with, and the solo and the hip hop. And I love that you had that. Okay, so the fourth question is about any regrets. And most teenagers or seniors in high school, once they've gone through it, they can look back and go, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Or even at the beginning of the senior year, they go, oh, I wish I would have, whatever. So do you have any regrets that you're willing to be honest and candid about and just share with others how they can learn from you?
So I don't have a specific regret about the application process, just because it's applications. While I still had all of the help, it was still, this is a new experience that I need to get used to. The thing that I do regret that I didn't do was starting on my scholarship applications earlier, because now we're in May, or no, we're not in May, we're in April. And everything's going crazy and all these scholarships need to be given out, but it's just, I wish I would have started on that sooner.
Yeah, I'm sure Mom does too, right? Like what you just said is like every parent's dream of like their kids saying, yeah, I think I'm going to start on that. Well, that is absolutely true, and it's never too early. And a tip that I learned, one of the people that helps me understand more about scholarships is the scholarship system. Her name is Jocelyn, but she says this thing that, yes, obviously you should start as early as possible in high school, but she says that even when you go to college, keep applying, because you can still get them, even if you didn't, you waited too late or you missed a deadline or something, in your senior year, you can apply as a freshman and as a sophomore, as a junior in college. And I like that advice, because the closer you get to graduating, from being a grossie, the closer you get to graduating, when you put in those scholarship applications, you're basically saying, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to be a dance education major, and I'm doing it. So they're more likely to bet on you and give you the scholarship because you keep going forward. So awesome. Okay. Mom, would you like to say any words to your daughter, and anything that you want to just share with her?
I'm so proud of where she's gone in this process, because last spring she was paralyzed and didn't know how to start. And then we did your program. She did your program. I just was on the side. And like she took ownership of the entire application process. I wasn't the one going, did you do this? Did you do this? She had her spreadsheet. She was working through the to-do lists. She did it all on her own. And I'm so proud of her. And when we got to go to the campus last week and to see where she's going to be going to school, I'm so excited to see what's coming, what's in the future. I'm tickled. I'm so thrilled. So absolutely thrilled.
It just warms my heart. Don't you just love mom? So, and what your mom just said is like every parent's dream, to take the nagging out of this process, because it is a long, arduous process. And there's just so many details to keep track of. So she's right that you were a dream to have as a daughter. That being said, I have my best girlfriend that I went to college with lives in New Jersey. My goddaughter is there. And so if you ever need a little bit of home or some home cooking, I'm going to hook you guys up. So,
okay. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So hang tight. Let me just do the wrap up here and then we'll all say goodbye in just a second. So. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. Don't you just love Bonnie? Oh my God, who doesn't fall in love with Bonnie? All right, parents, if you are watching, please join the Facebook group Destination YOUniversity, YOU. It's for parents of college-bound teens, no matter what age your teenager is, or preteen even, if you want to get a head start. You can also learn more about the college application process, about the essays, and I'll give you some hot tips. So I'll pop that in the comments and you can watch that for free. It's just a mini training and it's a lot of tips that you need to know. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll be posting these all month. And so be sure to sign up and get your notifications. They'll also be available on YouTube later this year, probably in June. So be sure to catch that. Tomorrow, you're going to meet Marian. And Marian speaks Russian. That's her coolness factor. And she has applied to various colleges and she's choosing among Canadian schools. So very different. Again, tomorrow we'll have a new destination for our students. I want to thank the team. It takes a village to make all of this happen. And this team has been super, super incredible. A special shout out to our student intern Alexandra, who's a senior also, and Grace, also a senior in high school, and Vanessa, who is a sophomore at UC Santa Barbara. Okay, so, all right, Bonnie, Fancy, wave goodbyes to everyone. Go Rutgers. Grossies, you're gonna rock it. You're gonna do so well. So I'm super excited for you. So just say goodbye to our Facebook fans here.
Bye.